Dear RIGA IFF audience, wonderful to meet you in this online recorded conversation. And I'm really delighted to introduce two wonderful filmmakers, Kristina Lindström and Kristian Petri, director duo for the magnificent documentary, The Most Beautiful Boy in the World, which is included in the selection of Nordic highlights. And hello.
Hello there.
Hello. Hi, Kristian. How are you?
We're fine. It's a beautiful autumn's day with golden sunlight.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing because it's been raining for a long time now. All of a sudden, the sun just came out, so it's wonderful.
And no wind.
This is something very similar that is currently in Riga, so it's quite lovely and sunny day today as well. So yeah, so we have very limited time. I think we could start to have a deeper talk about your film, The Most Beautiful Boy in the World. Just to start with, I was curious to know about your personal connections with the main character, protagonist, Bjorn Anderson. How did you got to know him? From either having his physical screen presence and Luchino Visconti's film, The Death in Venice, or maybe, as I understood, you work with him also on TV series, if I'm not mistaken, at this moment. And yeah. And maybe you could have this kind of focus how you got to know him on firsthand.
Okay, it was you that was first.
Yeah, but also if you belong to our generation, Björn Andrésen is a very well-known person in Sweden for our generation, and we sort of like grew up together, although he was in public. And so I got to know him by the films and his fame, you know, and everyone knew him, and he was this most beautiful boy in the world. But later on, like 20 years ago, I worked with him as a director on a children's TV series. And then I wanted to, I'm going to meet the most beautiful, I have to ask him, you know, but he was not so very fond of talking about that. So fair enough. So we talked about that, but it was very fun to work with him, and we kept in contact. And so, and then Kristina and I, she came to a dinner. I was going to a dinner with Björn, and you were there, and you started talking, asking all those questions. I didn't do.
Because I think I'm the very curious type. So I just started asking how come you got to be Tadzio in this film, and you started to talk about his grandmother living with her, and why did he live with her and his grandfather, and what about his mother and father, and we started to talk about the film and the backstory, and so in that we started to think about that it was very, very strong, and it is a very, very strong motive and a very, very strong film to be done.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those stories. It's almost, for us, it's almost too close, you know, you can't see it, you know, it's right up there in front of you. And when you realize, my God, this is an amazing subject for a film. This is
and it's important as well, like, because the story about this objectification in our time. It's as actual as ever, and it is we started also to look in the archives and search for material, of course, in different ways, and that's another story, because that took years to find everything. But we found astonishing material as well around this, around Visconti and Björn. And
yeah, but just stepping aside from this research process, so the notion that I got from watching the film that Björn is quite very private. He's in a way kind of trying to safeguard himself. So how did you convince him to open up and allow to camera witness his daily actions and coming in his living space.
It took, I think,
yeah.
Sorry,
was it difficult, or how this kind of documentary relations evolved?
I think the key word for was waiting and time. This film took 6 years to make, and so we waited for him. We didn't never forced him to do anything, but we asked him, and then we talked about how the film was going to be made, and it was extremely essential that he was the one that really wanted to also this to happen. I mean, we were doing this together. So, I mean, we didn't convince him into anything.
That would be the worst thing, I guess, because that was something that was in our front, all the process, because this was a process, of course, with him and trusting. I think he liked you. I know he liked you from the beginning, but I mean, this process to do this film and to let us into his different room, that was a process. But it was, I mean, most important for us that we didn't do the same thing that he had been experiencing before. I mean, this film had to be Björn's film and his voice and his story, not Tadzio.
And I think, or I know that it sort of appealed to him to be able to actually, since he has been living with this figure of Tadzio, like a mask before, you know, sort of hiding Björn. So it was time to take away Tadzio and time for Björn Andrésen to enter the stage instead.
I agree.
So
yeah, but I also was curious to ask about what Kristina said about this objectification and in a way also exploitation. So how well were known the relationship between Luchino and Björn, and whether this was something that you come up with while you were having this close encounter and relations with Björn, or it was a well-known fact already in Sweden. It was something novel that you find out.
Yeah, so I take from, so I can say, because we asked in different archives for years about this press conference that had to be, that we knew had to be with Visconti when he was presenting his film in Cannes, and we didn't find it anywhere. So we went to Rome to Rice archive and sat there for 3 days, and then suddenly we saw this material from the press conference in negative film, and obviously no one had seen it for decades. So that was really, we saw things happen before our eyes. We saw how he acted, how he talked about Björn. And that was a very strong moment to see that.
I think also when we started, then we saw this because we knew that material existed. The casting, you know, when he's asked him to take off his clothes and so on. Probably, I'm sorry. I think things have also changed. This was 50 years ago, and maybe that was not, you know, so. People were not upset, you know, because that's the way you treated young people at that time. But things have changed in the public with the Me Too movement, and people are becoming more aware of the abuse of power, you know. And so I think it looks very different today. and so I think... yeah,
but yet you can see he's very, very uncomfortable in that.
In the casting. Oh yeah. And that's as you know, in the film, his daughter says that it's one of the most horrible moments, and she gets extremely sad when she sees it. Still, I cannot understand that, because he's so vulnerable. You can see it in his eyes. He's an orphan at this time, and probably. Visconti, who was a magnificent director, but he's also, you know, had this predator look. He could see that boy there, he's special, you know.
Yeah, I
those
think
eyes, those sad eyes.
I think his
I want
experiences, yes, in life also was in a part of it, the attraction, sadly to say.
Mm.
There is actually
Evil in film business. Sorry.
It's hard.
No, I wanted to add about this the casting archive material that wonderfully that you actually acquire rights to include in the film. But there is this godlike serenity what Thomas Mann wrote in Björn's eyes, and actually for me there is this kind of figure of a lost boy throughout his life, and now we see him in his actual age, in his actual situation. He's still like a lost boy, actually. Yeah, but maybe you can talk about the parallels, or maybe this is the foundation of it all, his family. How did you manage for him to open up to speak about his mother, about his father that he hasn't been seen, and just how to open up about this, and how willing he was to do it?
I think it was because we talked about all this. We talked about his background and his experiences early, but then, as Kristian said, we didn't want to push it. So we wanted, I mean, it was, the process went like this, that suddenly Björn said, I want you to meet my daughter. Or he opened different doors to different parts of his life. And also we about his mother, he knew, of course, that about his mother. I don't know how to spoil or what this is. If it's a before or after.
Reading, so there is spoilers, yeah.
but so we talked to him about shall we try to get into the archives and see what's in there. So he that was something that he wanted as well.
And I think a key element when you're talking about the mother was, of course, the sister who is living in Copenhagen. And she had more than Björn sort of collected material from their childhood, you know, and from the mother. And it was very interesting to see them talk together. As there are in many families, they had very different views, you know. They remembered things very different, you know. But that's the way it is. I mean, in every family, I guess. So, but it was so she was very important for us and for Björn in the film.
She had this audio tapes as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. But this motive of acceptance, what do you think that Björn, while making this film, gained or received this kind of acceptance with his past or with his personal journey itself? Do you think this kind of helped him recover from what he has experienced in his life?
Obviously, he's the one that has to say.
Answer that.
Sure, but yeah,
I think so. Yeah, we had a screening here. It's the only screening so far in Sweden. It's a festival here at Bergman Island at Fårö. They have a film festival here.
And a preview here.
A preview, sort of with was it 50 people?
No,
not even that. 30, maybe. Yeah, COVID thing. It's small cinema, and but there was a Q&A, and there were all this really warm atmosphere, and you know, these questions, and I think he felt like they've seen, you know, he was very happy at that moment, and so I was very happy for him and for, you know, and for, so I think so.
And also his daughter and even sister has said to us that it started a process that made them talk about things that they never had talked about.
But so, he told me also, I think, was it during that festival? But anyway, he has fired all his demons. He gave them names and he said, "You're fired." So they're all gone now.
That's good. That's weird. Yeah, but I hope personally that Björn could have this possibility to meet with the audience. We know that COVID situation, it is what it is, but maybe this is something that could be really bonding with the audience, kind of reacquire his persona and status, hopefully. Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. I really hope so too. And we'll see what happens this year. We have an invitation for the premiere in Japan in the summer. That would be great. For instance.
Yeah. It's very that's the most sad thing about this COVID situation, that he hasn't been able to meet the audience in different countries where it has premiered.
Because it's been, I don't know yet, been shown in maybe 10 countries so far, and well, he haven't been able to travel with it, so.
But hopefully,
Yeah,
your month will be more enjoyable in terms of social activities in general. But there is one aspect that I really wanted to ask you about, this objectification and exploitation. So there aren't many films that are made from male perspective, tackling their experience. And this is one of the rare films. Was there any kind of insights in terms of how to say, the perception of people in power here? We're talking about Visconti, and whether his actions were questionable, that time. This was what Kristian, you said previously, that this was something that was status quo itself. So it was something perceived as normal. Nowadays, we're questioning whether it's normal. Whether there was some kind of conflicts in you both, whether this would turn into not more like an introspective documentary about the experience, but more like shaming or shedding light on this type of behavior, or you try to find the balance?
We try to find to tell the story about both, because it would be because it's Björn's story and the boy to see the child. So yeah, that is different levels of it.
But I think also we very much believe in an aesthetic that is for people to, judge for themselves, not to sort of like film that is sort of message oriented. This is what, you should think this, this is how it is. Instead of make people reflect and think and feel for themselves, put one together for yourself, instead of having the filmmaker do it for you. So we sort of lay out this and then hopefully it's a very strong emotional material, so that you can the import is what you feel when you leave this film.
And what do you think about these questions?
So it was not the purpose was not shame on Luchino Visconti. He's obviously you can see for yourself what you think when you see the casting or the press conference, but he's a very complex figure too. And I mean, the aim was not to make a film about him, but he's extremely interesting, and his background growing up in a castle outside Milan, as a royalty, and he's a communist with servants, and he's gay, and he has this extreme power and this, but the film was not about that, and it was not about on shaming him, as you say, but then I realized it's hot stuff, you come to countries, distributors, festivals, they don't really want to touch upon it because he's such a super icon. It's Visconti. He's one of the superstars of cinema.
And this is also, I would say, this is also a part of Visconti.
Yeah. So some people are a bit afraid, or they don't want to take, no, let's not touch upon this, So
maybe I didn't rephrase my question that well, but this was the thing, that there are some, let's say, persons that are unattainable to any kind of not criticism, but they are as they are, and let's leave them as they are. Yeah.
But I mean, Ingmar Bergman is such a person, or was such a person in Sweden. It took a long time before there was even some criticism about the way he treated, other actors or film workers, or people in general, his children. I mean, not to take anything away from his films or anything,
but nevertheless, there is also, of course, a criticism of Visconti's behavior in this aspect. In the way he met or handled this person or others that we don't know about in this film.
But I would say that in your film there was this balance, and it was built from Björn's perspective, the film itself.
That's a really important thing. So it's we didn't want to make a film, with a lot of talking heads, Visconti experts, and we wanted to make it from his perspective. This is his story. So I liked when Guardian wrote an article about they interviewed Björn before the UK premiere, and the article ended with Tadzio is dead, long live Bjorn Andrésen. I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah,
and somehow puts it right.
Sorry, Kristina, you wanted to?
No, I wanted to, because it looked like you had some more question. I don't know.
No, I wanted to refer back what Kristian said about the demons. They're fired, so maybe this is also someone or persona that was fired, and hopefully Björn feels like that. Yeah, if I understood it correctly.
Yeah, I think you did.
I think so. I think so.
I don't exactly know how he did it, but he says so. Yeah.
But now, as I'm following, and I've done a little research about Björn, so he had a small role in Ari Aster's Midsommar, and whether I was wondering, is he still willing to continue the screen presence or to work as an actor right now?
Yeah, he does. He did last summer. He did a role in a TV series that is running now about Agatha Christie. In a way, I don't know really.
It's a fictional character in Agatha Christie novel.
Oh, yeah. So, but he is doing things that's coming up. Yeah, that he.
And he's playing music, and so I think at the moment he's having it's a good period of his life.
Mm-hmm. That's great. But are you keeping in touch frequently?
Yep.
Yeah.
Met him.
Yeah, and because
some days ago only.
Yeah, it happens things with the film now all the time. It's requests and from different countries, and and so we tell him,
and it's that's a different. I mean, that's an important. If you bring on a person into this kind of project, you cannot. I don't think you can just say goodbye. You have to keep in contact, see what happens, how the film affect the person, and so on. You have to. This is a commitment you do as a documentary filmer.
And actually now it's a bit weird, but now is it 3 weeks time? We will have the Swedish premiere.
15th of October.
Yeah, so we still haven't shown it in Sweden. So, and that is, of course, I mean, it's home, so it's different from everything else. It's his friends, family, everyone.
We'll be sitting in the same salon.
So that will be very emotional, of course.
Yeah, it could be. I assume. Yeah. But good luck with premiere in Sweden and in other countries. So unfortunately, our time is running out, but maybe you wanted to add something, or I didn't ask questions about some aspect that you wanted to highlight to our audience. Maybe there's something that you would like to conclude with.
If it's something that I find interesting to talk about, now we talked a lot about Bjorn, which is, of course, we should talk about Bjorn, but if we keep the film in itself, the structure of the film, how it was, how we made it, so I think it's quite interesting, but maybe that's another time.
Yeah, if the time is running out, but it's I think we can really see the process in the structure of the film. And it was also we can add that the choose we made to make a widescreen for cinema was also important to make this a film about Björn, a film. And obviously the COVID situation has not made it, I mean, so far most people have seen it online, but well, we wanted to do it cinematic and with high ambitions in photo and music and so.
I must say we are very lucky to have our producer Stina Gardell, who gave us this time, which really was a key factor. Also in the editing, we edited for 1 year, you know, and really had the time to sort of, yeah, to try, because the material was really vast. It was huge. So, and we built it up in chapters, and you know, and slowly we got to where it is now. And that was really happy that we could, you know, have the time to try all these choices. And, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So far, I've seen the film only in this online format, but it has this cinematic quality that I would say blurs the line between this kind of biographical documentary and the fiction film itself. So there are elements of performativity as well. So well done in terms of, and I'm looking forward to see it also on the big screen in Riga. Yeah, also around those same dates that you will have this Swedish premiere of the film.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
please let us know, and
let us know and feedback.
and hope that you enjoy the film and have a really nice festival.
Yeah. Okay, I won't steal then your time, Kristina and Kristian. Thank you for this conversation, and please send the warmest greetings to Björn from Riga International Film Festival, and hope to see you very soon at the festival as well.
Yeah,
that would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.